everyone, welcome back to Climbing Daily. Today we've got in the studio Nate from Scarpa with the Vapour V. What updates has got into this model?
Update's a good word. I would say that it's an updated version of our previous Vapour V, which is like kind of a cult classic in the range.
Everybody has it, loves it. It's like an all-round shoe, I guess good for multi-pitching.
I think it's good for everything, much like the Instinct, but it fits very differently.
Okay.
The toe angle is a lot lower and it's a lot more narrower and lower volume.
So the toe angle, like, which means I guess in cracks and stuff, it's more low volume, you can jam your foot in there better.
If you think of like your hand when you crimp, essentially the Instinct is very aggressive.
Okay.
It's like a full crimp up like this, whereas this one's more like a half chisel.
Right.
And that means that you have a stronger midsole in the bottom to support it, and you maybe lose sun sensitivity. But this special toe angle, which is not flat but not fully crimped, is probably one of the features that people really like about this shoe. It does everything. Like, we've got top climbers like Cedric Lachey that use it for really hard multi-pitch to 9B sport routes. He won World Cup in it.
Right.
Everything. Like, so Arnaud Petit is another classic one that really is like a fan of this shoe. So I wouldn't pigeonhole it into like one discipline. I think one of the reasons it is super popular that it does do everything. You can climb plastic with it. You can go outdoor climbing with it. It's not too supportive that you lose sensitivity, but it's supportive enough that you can use really, really small edges. So probably one of the differences is in the name. This used to be Woman, and now it's LV.
Because it's a lower volume than this yellow one. Okay.
It's just a name, but it's a lot easier to put it on the name than it is to explain to people that actually our women's models are low volume. Unlike most other brands, they don't just change the color on these. It is lower volume.
Yes.
We thought we can explain that like we have for the last 10 years, or we can just change the name.
So it's in the name, it's clear, it's a lower volume.
It's cherry red, a little bit of a neutral kind of color. And the toe rand is actually back to the original Ilga high tension rubber, which is on the Instinct, the Booster. Most of our models have this. The previous model had M70, which is featured on the Generator. So this is a little bit more durable and it's a lot thinner.
But what's the difference between the rubber at the top and the rubber at the bottom?
Other than black, chalk and cheese. This is devulcanized rubber on the sole, the Vibram, so it's a lot more tacky, it's a lot more stable, and it's less elasticated. That's why it feels so good for smearing and edging. This rubber on the top is the same Ilga rubber that we use in the tension, so it's extremely thin and it's very dynamic. And it's not frictional. So you can apply it to the shoe and make it very, very thin, and it snaps back for a long time. Whereas the dead rubber down the bottom, the Vibram rubber, has no elasticity.
All right.
So most people don't know that a lot of our climbing shoes have up to 7 rubbers on one shoe.
How many rubbers are there on this shoe then?
I think there's 5.
Right.
Yeah.
So is it a different rubber on the heel as well?
It's excess grip 2 on the heel, on the back.
On this top side.
On this top side.
Okay.
And then it's like 2 millimeters skived on the heel, and then it's 1 millimeter skived on the sidewalls. Then this is Ilga, and then the front of the woman's has the excess grip 2, and the front of the men's has the excess edge rubber.
All right, so a bit stiffer.
A bit
again,
stiffer.
If you're a heavier climber or you
More
just
stable.
want if you want more stability.
Yeah, I never talk about weight. I really talk about size.
Okay.
And I think one of the misconceptions is that if you're really light, then you want soft shoes.
Yes.
Whereas if you look at people that are really light, they tend to be short. And with the stiffer shoes, you get more height.
Right.
So if you actually look around at the high performance climbers that are not tall, almost all wear stiff shoes.
Because you just get that like extra 1 centimeter advantage, which does make a difference.
1 centimeter is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
When you're climbing and you can keep your foot on, you can reach 1 centimeter further. And also those people tend to use these tiny intermediate footholds that no one else uses. So I think stiffer shoes are probably quite advantageous for shorter people.
All right.
Shorter people usually have a link to weight.
Yes.
It's kind of cool if you're really tall and really light. Usually I think that's a bit of a misconception. And also in the width, It's quite common for like women to have like a higher volume foot in a really small size.
Okay.
And it's quite common for men to have a really long foot in a lower volume.
So maybe that's why also like it's a good idea to take out the men and women, because a woman can try these shoes on and will actually fit them better.
Absolutely. And I know it's a little difficult for the shops because every other shoe in the shop is men's and women's.
Yeah.
So then when you come to climbing, it's all of a sudden gone to low volume and normal. And that can be quite confusing for retailers, but climbers understand it perfectly.
Yeah. And what about the sizing? Is it the same size range, or does it vary between the two models?
We increased the size range.
Okay.
So this actually goes up to 47 now.
From?
From before it went for 43.
Okay.
So we added quite a few sizes, plus half sizes. So it opened up the door for these people that do have this longer, narrower foot. This goes to 50. So it goes a lot higher.
Right,
And then above
yeah.
47, it's only whole sizes. So 47, 48, 49, 50.
right.
And then both go down to 33.
Okay.
Which is
quite a
microscopic.
size range,
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a huge size range. And this shoe definitely justifies that. It's one of our best sellers globally. It's an iconic shoe. It's a little bit more sleeker in the colors. We went for like darker colors with a bit of pop of color. And the buy tension remains the same on the side here. And then the sole remains the same.
Split midsole.
Split midsole down the back, yeah. And then the materials, the shape, everything's the same.
One thing I was playing with is this this padded tongue. Like it's really padded. Like it's
Yeah.
comfortable. Like
Yeah, I would say
I've never used them actually,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm like, oh yeah.
you should try them. They're really like unique shoes. I would say the tongue is a little bit more padded, but also a lot more breathable.
Right. Okay.
So that's probably one of the advantages. One of the biggest myths of this shoe is like that it's an intermediate shoe.
And you wouldn't say it's like it is an intermediate shoe, but in reality, it's an all-round shoe.
From a design point of view, it's as complex to make as a Drago, an Instinct, or a Booster.
Right, okay.
It's a 7-panel upper. It's seamless at the big toe. So we certainly don't consider it like an intermediate shoe. We developed it as like an absolute top-end shoe. I think it's the shape that allows people that of not a high level to actually feel comfortable in it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of given it this label of like an intermediate shoe.
Okay.
But it's actually like just as top performing as any of our others. So it's a definite shoe that works really well indoors, works really well outdoors. You can smear, you can hook, and you can do everything else with it. So it's probably why it's so popular. We would love everyone to have at least 10 models of climbing shoes.
Yeah. I mean, if you're lucky enough.
yeah, but most people still want one.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I think if you just have that one reliable climbing shoe that you know it's gonna be great outdoors, but then you know suddenly it rains and you're gonna go to the gym, you're not gonna get like annoyed or anything. Just
Yeah,
like,
we'll get there. Eventually, everyone will be highly addicted to climbing shoes, I hope, and they'll get 10 pairs each.
and like 3D printed to the shape of the foot, right? That's the future.
Probably not, because if you look at climbing shoes, they're not the shape of anyone's foot. So scanning your foot doesn't really work. If you think about like this shoe probably goes to like 60 different athletes on our team. Do you think all 60 have the same shaped foot?
No, definitely not. Like,
So this whole
gonna be-
myth that the shape of your
3D
foot
foot
has some
printed.
relation to the climbing shoe that you choose,
It's a myth.
it's a myth. Yeah,
All right.
you can 3D print all you want, but really it's the shape of the shoe that matters. And when you enter the shoe, no matter what the shape of your foot, you'll decide whether you like it or not. And one of the strengths of our ranges is we offer more shapes than any other manufacturer,
A ton of sizes.
and a ton of sizes.
So if you haven't tried this shoe on and you want to come try it on at a shop, we have a shop here in Clues in France. And if not, you know, we have an online shop online. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me.